Another thing positive psychology says is necessary for concentration, for flow, is clear goals and feedback. So in the work which you do, studying or whatever, you must have some kind of clear idea where you are going. Many people who do research, they tell me that's precisely what is research. We don't know what we are doing. That's why we call it research. But yes, there is an element of the unknown. But the thing which you are doing at particular moment, you must have clarity what you are doing and what you are trying to do. May not be about the whole thing where you are moving into the unknown. So a clear goal, and there must be some feedback. Here I want to add something. Often in research, there is a long period where you don't get any clear feedback. Nothing is happening. See, I'll tell you a little story. Last week, I had gone to the Vivekananda University, which is just outside Belur Math, where that Swami I told you about, the mathematician Swami, he works there in the mathematics department there. So I had gone for tea around this time. And he came for tea too. We were sitting and having tea, and he said that I'm in the middle of a class. And his class is like, it starts at 8 o'clock in the morning. He said, I've started at 8. I said, 8? Did you break for lunch? No. You are the only teacher? Yes. And the same set of students? Yes. And when will you end? 8 or 10 in the night? So 10, 12, 14 hours, one class. Yes, one class. Of course, it's problem solving. It's not that he's lecturing all the time. Then I asked him why. And he said something very interesting. He said, you see, in research, for most of the time, the default value is 0. For a long period of time, the gain you will get in research is nothing. Nothing will be seen to be happening if you're doing genuine research for a long time. He says that these boys who are working in the class now, they will have to hold on for days, weeks, months, even years. You know that person who solved the Fermat's theorem? Andrew Wiley, I think. Andrew Wiley? Whatever. It took more than 10 years. He was working in private, apart from his job. Secretly he was working. And through all sorts of frustrations. I read the book on that. I don't understand any of the mathematics. But luckily the person who wrote the book also said at the very beginning, I also don't understand the mathematics. They're going to tell this human story of the other person. But the point to be understood there is, for a long time in research, you will not get any positive value. And for that period of time that these boys, they have to hold on. They have to learn how to struggle for hours throughout the day, for days and weeks and months throughout the year, and maybe for years together. If they don't have that patience, then they cannot be good researchers. So one point about this, when you say feedback, it's true. Feedback helps in flow, but sometimes you may not have feedback, and there also that grit is necessary to hold on to the concentration without the feedback also, without positive feedback. And concentration. Fourth characteristic of flow is concentration itself, where there is tremendous focus. One sign of concentration is you forget all other problems in life. It is true. You may have lots of problems at home, health-related issues, maybe issues related to career, whatnot, even issues related to the environment where you are working. But if you get flow, at that time, you tend to forget all it. This is one of the characteristics of concentration. Now, why do you forget? The answer is again simple. Because you don't have more than 126 bits per second. So your mind will not dwell on those things if you put most of it into the object of concentration. So this tremendous focus, Swami Vivekananda says, to me the very essence of education is concentration of mind, not the collecting of facts. The difference between an ordinary person and a great person lies in the degree of concentration. And when I read this long ago, I read this from Swami Vivekananda, I was not very convinced, because I used to think that difference between an ordinary person and a great person lies in so many dimensions of human personality. Why only concentration? One day, I had a revelation. I saw another Swami who is also an alumni of IIT Kanpur. Long back, he joined the order long back. He was studying. Studying means just relaxing on the bed with a leg spread out in front, sitting and reading a book. I came in front of him and I asked him in Hindi, Maharaj ji, kya padh rahe hain? What are you reading? No answer, he's reading. I'm standing in front of him. He cannot see me. He's reading. I asked him again, no answer. I bent forward and his foot was spread out in front, his leg was spread out in front, and his foot and his big toe, I caught hold of that and shook it. What are you reading? You won't believe it, he did not feel it. The focus he has in the book is so much. Now you understand, 126 bits, maybe 120 bits is on that book. He cannot feel somebody touching him. When I stepped forward and I just raised the book to see the title, he got a shock. Which means such tremendous focus. There are so many stories about Swami Vivekananda, of course. Those who have read his life, they know that how in Belur Math, where he used to stay, his disciple Sharat Chandra one day came upon him reading the Encyclopedia Britannica. In those days, nowadays if I say Encyclopedia Britannica, somebody is reading it, most of the students, just like you all, they'll say, oh, okay, could be. What's so great about it? Because you see, nowadays Encyclopedia Britannica is one DVD. But if you see the old set, huge. They used to, and earlier in those days, there used to be these leather-bound volumes. So I heard, when the set would arrive in the library, they would strengthen the shelves of the library with wooden planks so that it will not bend, catenary it will become. So that set is there and Swami Vivekananda is reading it, and this disciple comes and asks, Swamiji, so many books, fat books, it's impossible for a human being to finish it in one lifetime. And Swamiji said, what are you saying? I have gone through 9 volumes and I'm on the 10th volume. You can ask me anything from the 9 volumes. This is a story, well-known story. And Sharat Chandra actually, he went and picked up books at random and he asked questions at random. And Swamiji answered all of that. He says in some places the exact language down to the comma and the full stop also. That was fantastic. And he asked Swami Vivekananda, how is this possible? And Swamiji said, with concentration and purity, one can do it and anybody can do it. Everybody has this capacity. So Swami Vivekananda says the difference between an ordinary person and a great person lies in the degree of concentration. This is the symbol of the Ramakrishna mission. Swami Vivekananda designed it. And many of you may know the meaning. I'll just tell you in a couple of sentences. Basic idea is that the sun which is rising at the back represents knowledge. The wavy waters represent work. The lotus represents bhakti, devotion. And the snake encircling all of it represents concentration, meditation. So by a combination of knowledge, work, devotion and concentration or meditation, one realizes the swan there represents the Paramatman, God, spiritual reality, whatever you call it. So spiritual reality is realized by a combination of karma yoga, work, spiritualized work, jnana yoga, the path of knowledge, bhakti yoga, the path of devotion, and raja yoga, the path of meditation. Okay, this is the basic idea. But why I have put it here is for the snake alone. The snake represents meditation, concentration. And Swami Vivekananda writes in one place, the meaning of the symbol is this, and the snake, the serpent, represents concentration. Now it is so interesting. I was going through this book. It's a recent book called Rapt. Rapt as in attention, immersed in something. And this author, this lady, Winifred Gallagher, she's done research on attention and she's written this book. In one place she says, she has no connection with Ramakrishna mission, she does not know any of these things. I think so, at least. She says, the best symbol I can think about for concentration is this cobra with a, with its hood, its expanded hood. Best symbol. I was amazed. This is the exact same idea which Swami Vivekananda puts forward as a symbol for concentration. And why is it so? Because she says all the elements, central elements of concentration are here. This is one lesson we must take away from here. What are the central elements? Just remember this, the picture of this snake. First of all, a mental bearing down on a subject. What does the cobra do when it's going to eat a rat or a frog? Like a bearing down, tremendous focus on that. So, mental bearing down on a subject. The book or the instrument of work which you are doing, focusing the mind on that. A mental bearing down on the subject. Second, the hood flaring to block out all distractions. The hood of the cobra flaring to block out all distractions. Of course, the cobra does not flare the hood to block out distractions or anything like that, but this is the meaning which we are giving to it. Have you noticed how little children study? Why little children? And last year I was in, year before last, I was in IIT Kanpur, I was in the library. I saw many of the boys and girls there studying, and they also do the same thing. You ever noticed how they study, or how many of you study? Like this? Book is there, like this. What are you doing there? Unconsciously, you're basically cutting out the world. So that's another part of concentration. You are pulling out as much of the 126 bits per second which is scattered here and there. You're pulling it out basically and putting it here. So it's very natural. This hood flaring to block out distractions and holding steady in your unblinking focus. A few seconds of that anybody can manage. Couple of minutes of that anybody can manage. But hours and hours and hours of that, holding steady in your unblinking focus. These are the three elements. Engage your mind, pull out the bits you have scattered all over in your life, different subjects in your life. You pull it out and pour it here and hold it. Like that mathematician Swami, 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours on one problem. I was joking with him, did you leave the students for lunch break? He said, no. I said, they'll faint. I said, okay, once they recover consciousness, they can do maths again. Along with this, one more point, which is not mentioned as yet by Csikszentmihalyi or positive psychology, but Swami Vivekananda insists on this. He says, along with the development of concentration, we must develop the power of detachment. We must learn not only to attach the mind to one thing exclusively, but also to detach it at a moment's notice and place it on something else. You see, many of you have good concentration, otherwise you wouldn't be here. But there's an ability that if you can pull your mind out from one thing and then put it totally into another thing, that's a tremendous ability. It seems, I read in Napoleon's life once, he could do so many things at a time. Writing letters back to Paris about the construction of bridges, writing about the new financial system, writing letters about the direction of the military forces in battle, and so on and so forth. Writing to his wife, Josephine. Somebody asked him, how do you do all that? And he said, see, I have this cabinet. This was time before computers came. So I have this cabinet in my mind, drawers. So when I want to work on the army, I open that drawer and shut all other drawers. When I want to talk about finances, I shut the other drawers and open the drawer about the finances, and so on and so forth. And when I shut all the drawers, I go off to sleep. He had the ability to go to sleep any time he wanted. Now that's a tremendously organized mind. But it shows the structure of the mind. It matches with what we have been studying here. And Swami Vivekananda, this is a famous quotation. Education is concentration of mind. If I had to do my education all over again and had any voice in the matter, I would not study facts at all. I would develop the power of concentration and detachment, and then with a perfect instrument, I could collect facts at will.